Well, I decided to go ahead and focus on Final Cut X, even though I'm still very much interested in Premiere. I already know the basics of using Final Cut X due to the fact that the program feels like a cross between Final Cut Pro 7 and iMovie. I really like the setup of Final Cut X, although I like how Final Cut Pro 7 made me feel as if I had more control with every movement and edit I may make using that program. When comparing this program to iMovie, I feel as if when Final Cut X was designed, it was designed more for common users who may have in-depth knowledge about Final Cut Pro as well as many experts. So this version kept in mind that many users don't want to deal with minute details of filmmaking, making it more enjoyable for a middle school student to basically hop on this program and just go to work immediately with no problem. Today I refreshed my memory on how to get started in the program. First off, I would like to say the way iMovie deals with missing files is completely different than the way Final Cut X handles missing files. The way Final Cut X handles missing files kind of reminds me of how Final Cut 7 does it. It allows for a reconnection of the original files that you start with. Here are a few screenshots of what I've been working on today. Just like in iMovie, folders containing the project and events are created within the space one chooses to save his or her project. For example, you can create a project drive and save your work within the project drive. Once you start working on a project, folders are automatically created entitled Final Cut X, Final Cut Events, and Final Cut Project. May have to go back and correct labeling of folders, but they are there. I haven't tried to save anything using an external hard drive or just the plain old user file directory. I'm pretty sure that the workflow for most patrons would involve the creation of a sparse image first before starting a project in Final Cut X. Okay, so let's see here. Duplication process. I don't even want to talk about the duplication process because I ran into an issue with that. All I have to say is, let's say, give it a minute. I tried to duplicate something. I started on the duplication process. It took 10 minutes. After 10 minutes of frustration, I decided not to even complete the process. There was also an issue with one of the sparse images I was using. Unless I really did fill it up and ran out of space quickly on the first sparse image, it may have been the fact that the previous video I was working on was over an hour long. Could that have taken up almost 100 gigabytes of space? I would try the duplication process again a little later. So far, this has been the only issue I've had with Final Cut X. It's been really hard to break part of the program and see what issues I may find. I started with messing with importing clips and archiving clips. Really didn't have trouble with that since the program likes to do a lot within this process automatically behind the click of a button or an option. I'm going to go ahead and Google any issue that I may come across dealing with event and project managing. Because right now Final Cut has shown me that if there's a flaw or a kink patrons may run into, it's done a pretty good job with covering up any underlying issue. So from now, what I've learned today experience is that some patrons may get frustrated if they use up too much space on their sparse image. All I can say is the solution for right now is to tell them that they can use another sparse image to build their actual video or film while keeping in mind that they still need enough space in the sparse image that they are using. Alright, so I decided to do some research on the duplication process of events and projects within Final Cut X. Due to the fact that I was having a little trouble with it earlier, like I stated before, the real reason I believe it was taking so long was because the event I was trying to duplicate contained over an hour worth of footage. Out of frustration, I decided to Google the information, and here's what I found. The duplication process, this option will only copy the timeline/project, but not the media that appears within the project. If you plan on keeping the media online and simply want to save the project file, this will be your pick. However, if you move or delete media without saving it, you'll have a project without files. potentially disastrous. But that's common sense. Final Cut X projects take up so little hard drive space, so don't duplicate them thinking it'll have significant impact on your drive space. So it may have been an issue with my sparse image. I don't know, I'll do a little bit more looking into that later. Okay, you really want to like make sure everything's duplicated. You want to duplicate project and reference events. That's pretty much it. We'll talk about that more later on in the year probably. Let's see here. There's a list of camcorders and cameras that basically are being used for Final Cut X. It's a whole list of them, but we're gonna probably try to boil down the list that we use here at the Sanford Media Center. Or, you know what I'm saying, if we come across a new camera, we at least need to make sure that all cameras that may possibly be used in the Media Center can be and is compatible with Final Cut X. Okay. Manipulating footage, I would say this. The only thing I like about Final Cut X for real is the fact that it has this magnetic timeline. I mean, yeah, sometimes I am too lazy to just constantly move stuff around, but after a while I realized the magnetic timeline is only good for a speedy workflow. You know, I honestly don't even mind moving things around because I really do enjoy having complete control of the project that I'm working on as far as whether or not I need a magnetic timeline or not. And then I came across this. Apparently, you can turn off snapping, which is what causes the timeline to be magnetic, through an option called the position tool. And once you manipulate the position tool, you can actually turn off snapping. This will be something that we will go over with patrons, because I do feel as if the snapping issue would be something that they would want to either turn on or off depending on how they build videos. Again, breakdown of Final Cut X, I would say this. As far as troubleshooting goes, didn't really find many issues with troubleshooting because the program does a lot by itself. I'm more comfortable with it because it is like iMovie. I know iMovie like the back of my hand. I'm pretty good in Final Cut 7 Pro, and this being a mesh of both, I would say anybody who is used to either or programs that I mentioned wouldn't have a problem working with Final Cut X. It's just that if you feel more if you lean more towards the workflow of Final Cut 7, you might not like how Final Cut X is set up because it looks like iMovie and because they have limited options like titles, and you don't get to experiment with customized text as much unless there are deeper features that we have yet to bring out of the program itself. All right, as far as more on footage manipulation, transitions, titles, all that good stuff, fairly similar to iMovie. They've added a few things to the Final Cut X, such as the color corrector. I'm just going to let y'all see on this next part how similar the transitions are with the titles and stuff, and I'm gonna let you judge from there. Also, enjoy the beat that I was creating while making this film. Well, thanks for listening to what I had to say, because normally people don't even listen to me when I do give advice. So this is a good look. Appreciate it.